right? You have a lot of turnover, possibly. Kelsey may be finished.
Where I'm looking up average life expectancy. I'm dreaming at this point. Like, I can't. I'm done with the season.
What's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes? And it's weird to be talking about a guy like, what's the next evolution of Pat Mahomes, and he's not 30. You could be anywhere doing anything, but you're hanging out with us, and we appreciate that. So wherever you're listening and however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Gameplan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Kennedy Miller, my guy.
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Man, I am doing all right. I'm doing all right. Where can the folks find you on Twitter, dog?
Find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. All right. And I said S as in sangria. I possibly should have said S as in Spurs or T as in Timberwolves, because Spurs and the Timberwolves are in this matchup, Western Conference semifinals, tied 1-1. Anthony Edwards is back. Who do you feel like should be more confident headed back for the next two games in Minnesota, San Antonio or the Timberwolves?
I feel both teams should have a level of confidence going into this, right? It's 1-1 for their own reasons. Who am I more confident in at this point in time? I would have to say San Antonio, right? You look at the first game and how poor Fox played, 10 points, right? 6 or 7 turnovers, right? Wemby goes 0 for 8 from 3, and they still have a chance. Like, they still get a wide open shot at the end of the game, right? To have a chance to win that game. And then, basically they blew the doors off of them last night. And so I'm more confident in the Spurs. And another reason, the loss of Dante DiVincenzo hurts Minnesota. I think that Minnesota has surprised a lot of people because of how deep. Like, I didn't realize how deep Minnesota was. Like, this Terrence Shannon dude looks like the second fastest player in the league, like behind Tyrese Maxey with the ball. Like, the Somo has a 40-point game in the Nuggets series, right? Like, I'm thinking, like, once DiVincenzo goes out, Ant goes out, I'm thinking, okay, well, the Nuggets are going to come back from 3-1 and get to the next round. And these dudes just have people that are stepping up. Even Mike Conley, right, that first game, he's hitting big shots down the stretch of the game. McDaniels is now, he looks more like he's getting out of like a 3-and-D mode and turning into like a two-way player mode. Like, this dude he's hooping.
Putting it on the floor.
Yeah, he's putting it on the floor. And then, I mean, all the laughs and the jokes that we give Gobert, right? This past month has probably been the best month of his career, right? Like, he's played phenomenal defense against Jokic. He probably knows Wemby better than anybody in the NBA space, right? Been known him since he was 13 years old, right? So he does a good job guarding him. Like, they have a right to feel confident. And then the Spurs at the same time, like, Devin Vassell and Stephon Castle continues to impress me as a young player. Same thing with Dylan Harper. Like, these dudes look at times much older and more experienced basketball players than what they really are. And when we talked about how do we see the Spurs being probably a month and a half ago being contenders, pretenders, that was one of my things. Like, I don't know if I can trust all these guys in these moments. And these guys have been stepping up. Like, you got to give them credit. So I feel like both of them should have a heavy level of confidence going into Minnesota. But who do I believe more? I think the Spurs are going to win this in 6.
I think for me, something I've been thinking about in terms of Minnesota is that Victor Wembanyama's primary impact defensively is not only as a shot blocker and a rim protector, but the idea that he's just there. And the idea that he's there serves as a deterrent. And, we can physically, with our own eyes, see people when they go into the lane, look up and be like, what homeboy do on Friday? No. Right? We can physically see people decide right then, right there are certain shots they're not going to take by the mere threat that he is there because they don't want their shit to get thrown in the stand. The thing about Minnesota is, and clearly evidenced by game one, they were not afraid of that, right? Victor blocked 13 shots. It looked like, Ken, I know we've all played like basketball in the driveway with your daddy when you were a real small child and your daddy just throwing your stuff in all over the place. That's what it looked like when Victor was playing with NBA players that are 6'9", 6'10", 6'11", right? In most cases, people decide they're not going to go to the basket after getting their stuff swatted. Minnesota clearly was undeterred. They're like, nope.
Yeah.
And they ended up with 50 points in the paint, right? They've decided that, hey, sometimes you go up to the plate, you're going to strike out, dust yourself off, we're going to go right back up there and go right back at them, right? And you got to respect that. And I think for San Antonio, that's a bit of a problem, right? Because the whole thing is, because Victor's here, you're going to take worse shots and decide you're going to take perimeter shots, right? Because you don't want to get your stuff slapped all over the place. What if that fear isn't there, right? If that fear's not there, that serves as a bit of an issue, right? That's one. Two, for me as a Spurs fan, Minnesota's big. They're tall.
Yeah, they are.
Athletic, right? They got a lot of dudes with a lot of weight to them, right? Julius Randle, bull in the china shop. Naz Reid, sturdy. Rudy Gobert, right? Jaden McDaniels, tall, long arms, athletic, can switch on anything. And the kind of game they want to play, I feel like, they want that game to be slow, to be ugly, to not really be going up and down.
Right.
Because when they stopped San Antonio, like game one, when it got to the half court, San Antonio could not score. Right. And I think like that's, for me, like the longer this series goes, like what are the adjustments for Mitch Johnson? Right. Because it can't just be just make open threes. Right. It can't just be that. Like that can be, of course, a part of it. There are going to be some shots you're able to knock down. Right. And because like you don't think Victor's going to only score 11 points. Right. You don't think Fox is only going to score 10 points. Right. You don't think you're going to shoot that poorly again. But for me, if you're San Antonio, do you play Luke Kornet more to give you additional size on the floor? Do you give Carter Bryant more run? Do you feel like he's ready for that? Like, what are those adjustments that you make? Because personally, I don't like Devin Vassell having to guard Julius Randle, right? Or having Harrison Barnes try to guard Julius Randle, right? Like, those are just not matchups that you want. So what do you want to put more size on the floor? And that possibly takes away from your shot making and your shot creating and possibly having 2 to 3 shot creators on the floor. I really think like that's really a balance for Mitch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it'll be like, I mean, that's what the playoffs is all about. Like matchups, game planning, getting into these like different coaching strategies. And the thing about it is, like we talked about the depth for both of these teams. Like they got pieces, they have bodies, they have different options that they can go to, because Minnesota looks like one team with Rudy Gobert out there. But like you take Rudy Gobert off the floor, they're not as good defensively, but they're better offensively. Right? When you have Naz Reid and Julius Randle, you can kind of space the floor. The paint is opened up a little bit, and it changes things for San Antonio because Rudy Gobert's not in, and Wemby can live in the paint now. So it'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm very excited. I think this is one of the best series of the second round. This is the one I'm tuned in probably the most to see who's going to come out, because either one of these teams, we both assume OKC is going to win. Either one of these teams, I think, can give OKC some real issues.
For San Antonio, the other thing I think they have to think about now is, I think we initially assumed without Anthony Edwards, without DiVincenzo, San Antonio is going to just walk through Minnesota. With Anthony Edwards, like I think I got a notification when I was at work the other day, and it was like 4 p.m. like Anthony Edwards is on track to play tonight. It's like, okay, what horse tranquilizer did they shoot him up with? Right? Because a 2 to 3 week injury and he's back after 9 days. It's like,
and he didn't look bad.
No, he didn't. Like, he didn't look like he was laboring up and down the court.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like Anthony Edwards, more or less. Right now, they had him on a minutes restriction.
Yeah.
My thought is, I think it's been said that with every passing day, Anthony Edwards is going to get more and more healthy. I'm not quite sure, especially when he's playing every other day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you came back from a 2 to 3 week injury in 9 days. You're not 100%, or like how close to 100% are you? Right? Or are you operating at 65 to 70%, and then you're going to play 25, 30 minutes, and that takes you down to 50, 55, and then you're trying to work back up to 65 to 70. Like, what does that actually look like? And I think also for San Antonio, when Anthony Edwards is on the court, I think the big thing is San Antonio got nobody that can stick with him. Not a soul.
No.
Right? Keldon Johnson was getting toe up. Toe him
And
up
was
in game one.
talking too.
Keldon or yeah.
Keldon. I was like, just let it go. Just let it go, Keldon.
Like, please,
Just let
brother.
it go, dog. Because that's what he lives for.
Yes. Anthony Edwards loves nothing more than talk cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
As he's tearing you apart. Like San Antonio got nobody that can guard him. But I think the thing San Antonio moved to in game 2 is like midway through the second quarter, we're going to trap Anthony Edwards at half court, get the ball out of his hands.
Yep.
And as long as he's been playing basketball, and I assume as long as Anthony Edwards has been Anthony Edwards, it is a bit mystifying to me the fact that Anthony Edwards still looks flustered when a trap is coming, right? Like it is shocking that he still just kind of bugs out a little bit, right? And it seemed like that got Minnesota out of their game, and then they got their doors blown off. So I think these first 2 games, he's seen really 2 extremes. One, San Antonio shooting terribly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then game 2, San Antonio, it feels like in a lot of situations, executing flawlessly, playing great defense. Minnesota missed a ton of shots too. Anthony Edwards didn't play well. None of their guards played well. Like, for Minnesota, where do you get that secondary shot creating from? And like, do you view, ask you this, Ken, do you view Dosunmu, Shannon, is that money you can count on in the playoffs? Are these boys refund checks, tax checks, where it's like, oh, I didn't know I had this money. Perfect. I can put this money to good use. Or is this money you can count on? Because for me right now, I don't think you can count on Dosunmu and Shannon as like givens, if that makes sense.
I don't know if they can be givens, but when like you're asking role players in the playoffs to give me a game, right? Or give me a half. And that's what Dosunmu did against Denver, right? He doesn't have that 40-point game. They don't go up 3-1, right? So now Denver has some life, right? Like, I'm not expecting a role player to do this every night. Like the Lakers, like, I'm not expecting Luke Kennard to go for 24, right? But you did that in that game 1, which gave them cushion when they win the game 3 to put them up 3-0 instead of it being 2-1, right? So just give us a spark. And then hopefully my stars can help carry the load down the stretch, right? Like, I think that's what every team looks for in their second or third option. Like, if you could just give us a half or give us a stretch playing above your average, that gives us the cushion that we need to hopefully be able to close out a series.
And speaking of series and speaking of the Lakers, man, Kennedy Miller, you are the ultimate optimist. I've learned a lot from you in the past. Really, we've been doing this podcast like almost damn near 10 years now.
Yeah.
And how optimistic you are, right? Kennedy Miller is a glass half full guy. So Kennedy Miller, are you glass half full about the Lakers? Have you talked yourself into the idea that the Lakers can win 2 games in this year?
I think maybe they can win 1. There's a pretty good game going on right now. I think maybe they got a good chance at winning game 3. But like, I have to be realistic, man. Oklahoma City is just, they're too athletic. They're going to have a 2-time MVP. They got size. They got shot makers. They have really good defenders. It's an uphill battle for the Lakers. And really, I mean, they have nobody to blame but like Rob Pelinka. And I'm not saying like it's like this total detriment, but you knew coming into this series you knew coming into this season who the best team in the NBA was. Like you knew who the champions were. You knew what they had, right? And like, if you are truly trying to compete for championships, like Jake LaRavia can't be your prized offseason signing, and DeAndre Ayton. Like, they weren't bad. Like, the Lakers got better from last year. But again, what are you trying to compete for? Are you trying to be a second round team, or are you trying to compete for championships? Because you can't honestly believe that, like, Jake LaRavia, Austin Reeves, Luke Kennard, which, like, these are not bad signings.
On the
But again,
periphery.
they're not going to win you a championship against these teams when you're looking at OKC, Philadelphia, I know they're not in it, but Detroit, all these teams that have all these dudes that are super athletic and can guard multiple positions and put pressure on the rim. Minnesota, all these teams that put so much pressure on the rim, and like the depth that we are talking about with San Antonio and Minnesota, the Lakers lack that. They lack that, and so they become very top heavy.
The fact that they're even in the second round at all, right? Now, again, how much of that has to do with the Houston Rockets just flat out not developing, right? And not being able to make wide open shots and having one of the worst collapses at the end of a game I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, I could not, I just about fell out of my chair at the end of that game because I just could not believe they screwed the pooch in that way. Could not believe it. Like, honest to God, it has to be on the board that they have to fire Ime Udoka. It, like, after something like that, and Ime gave them they need to grow up. I'm like, dog, you have a team that blows it like that. Some of that's on you too. Like, why would?
Oh, he got out coached.
Yeah,
He got out
badly.
in series. Like, I think we got to give JJ Redick his props. Like, it was going into the series, even if Kevin Durant did not play, the Lakers were not the favorites to win this series, right? Especially if Kevin Durant played. They were not the favorites. They were underdogs in every single game. They were not favored to win. And so some of it is on the Rockets because they did not play well for the most part. But, like, the Lakers came out and they surprised some people. Like we talked about, Luke Kennard had one of those games. Marcus Smart, he looked like the second best player on the court sometimes. And then LeBron James, if obviously it's terrible that Luka got hurt, but if he didn't get hurt, like, he was settling into this third role, averaging like 15 points a game. And then he just kind of turns it back in like 27, 8 and 7. You know what I mean? So, there's obviously a ceiling to this team. It's to go to the second round. They're going to lose against OKC, and that's that. I think it was a good year. I think they had a good year though. They surpassed many people's expectations. Many people saw them as a play-in team, or some of them people didn't even have them making it to the playoffs. So they're probably going to lose to the team that goes to the finals or loses to the eventual champion.
And I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Oklahoma City, it is crazy how inevitable their success feels. Insane how it feels. Like, right now, I'm not sure about you. Oklahoma City feels as like wake me up when it's the conference finals, way Golden State did from like 2014 to 2019, the way the Lakers did during that three-peat run, and the way I'm sure the Jordan's Bulls felt during those two runs in the 90s. Right? Like, it just feels like it's going to take a whole lot to beat these guys. Like, there's four times that in seven tries. That's going to be a lot. And right now they're doing it without their second best player. Like, Jalen Williams, they're like, hey, bro, rest up. We'll call you at the end of May. That's what it seems like is going on. And, bro, they be having guys that you forget, like, I don't say grab off the scrap heap. The idea that Oklahoma City got McCain from the 76ers, and the Sixers just more or less gave that dude away. And he was in the Rookie of the Year conversation before he got hurt. And he's knocking down shots for them in the playoffs off the bench. Like, would you say McCain's like their seventh or eighth best player?
Crazy. Yes.
If you really get to thinking about it in like the conversation about, super teams and tanking and all this other stuff, Oklahoma City, after they traded Paul George and Russell Westbrook, they made the play in that year with Chris Paul. And then they stunk for a year or two? Maybe? Yeah. I know there was like 1 year they stunk, and that was the year they got Chet.
And
then
that was
Chet,
the third pick.
Yeah.
Right? No, second pick.
And then they go play in, They go from the play-in, number 1 seed, out in the second round, title. And now going for 2. Right? And for me, that just is like, yo, everybody else that's trying to like microwave this thing, it's like, yo, it's probably like better for you to be like really good at drafting, development, evaluation. Like it's probably much better. I mean, San Antonio's in a similar sort of place. You know what I'm saying right now?
Yeah. And then, I mean, you look at Houston. Like, they basically were in the rebuilds around the same time. Like, drafting and developing matters. Like, who I draft. Because, Houston, there's a world where they could have had Chet Holmgren, right? And there's a world where they could have got the sweepstakes for Cade Cunningham instead of Jalen Green. Like, lottery picks matter. Who you go with matters. And then the culture of your team. Like, these dudes stayed down, they developed, they brought in the right pieces, and then they collected these draft picks. And so, like last year, you can get Alex Caruso to a team that was, like, already a fringe number 1 seed if they weren't the number 1 seed already before that. Like, come on, man. And we'll still have a lottery pick this year.
Wait, are they still cashing in from that Paul George trade?
Yes, like, because the Clippers did not make the playoffs, that pick goes to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, if they get another top 5 pick, I'm going to scream. I'm going to scream, legitimately. Because at this point, bro, I don't know where that Paul George trade goes down. Like, because, when people start looking back on these things, like, is that the worst trade in NBA history?
Yep.
I still contend that Luka to the Lakers trade where Nico gave him away. That's still worse than this. I think long term, like looking back, who would have thought Shea? Like I thought Shea was going to be good. I did not think Shea was going to be like what looks to be like Hall of Fame level great. Because if you think he's Hall of Fame level great, then you say no, right? But that also would have meant at the time you also don't get Kawhi Leonard, right? So they made a win now play, and if I'm thinking about it, Paul George coming off of an MVP caliber season and Kawhi Leonard coming off a championship, I think it's a move that you make, right? Now, I think the Clippers would probably feel better about it if they got more out of it than just one conference finals appearance and a whole lot of surgeries from both of them. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Like, when you look back at it now, because of what happened, primarily because of injury, it doesn't age well. But the Thunder are really good. They're really good.
I'm going to tell you what else is not going to age well. Well, forget aging well. It's not going over well now. Did you see that ridiculous live stream from Jaylen Brown a day after blowing a 3-1 lead in the first round where he gets out there and he legit's like, yes, this is my favorite year playing basketball. I got to be the number 1 option on the team.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff that kills the team chemistry because it like, I don't mind if you say it, right? Like D-Wade, they just had him on an interview where he talked about his favorite and least favorite years, right? During his time in the NBA. And, he obviously the easy ones to pick were his favorite years, but we talked about his least favorite years, like, yeah, 08, 09, having to deal with those young guys.
Like Michael Beasley?
Yeah, Michael Beasley and but it's different now when he's retired saying it versus if their season had just ended. Like, yeah, I hate it this year. If I'm being honest with you, because I hated having to deal with these kids. Like, come back in the locker room, like, oh, okay, what do you mean by that? Right? Like, and I get what he's saying. It's just like, you don't have to say everything immediately. And so, like, where does that put the team now? Where does that put your relationship with Jason Tatum? Because, like, I've been I believe they've done a really good job of blocking out the noise, right? Like, people have been wanting to trade them since they formed together, right? And I used to be one of them on that train, right? Because Boston had all those picks. Like, give up somebody and get Paul George, get Jimmy Butler, get Ben Simmons, Get somebody, make a change in Boston because it needs to happen. But it seemed like they had figured it out, right? Like they won a championship. I'm like, you know what? That duo needs to stay together. Like, they may not be the best of friends, but they figured it out on the court. But like when you say stuff like this, like it makes you kind of look at it differently. You know what I mean?
Jaylen Brown is very self-aware. Jaylen Brown is a very smart guy.
Mhm.
I think Jaylen Brown knew exactly what he was saying, when he was saying it, how he was saying it. He didn't go on that live stream by accident and say
Mhm.
any of that, right? I think this wasn't a slip of the tongue. This was very deliberate, right? He's more or less saying, yo, I've been telling everybody I could do this, right? It feels like very much like you ever, like, Ken, your nephew's what, getting closer to 2 now?
In November, it'll be 2.
In November, he'll be 2, man. You're going to come a point pretty soon, the next couple of months and years, where he's like, I told you I can do it. No, I can walk. I can do X, Y, and Z. I'm not a baby, right? Trying to show people, no, I don't need your help. I can do this alone, right? And, and for years, it feels like Jaylen Brown has been trying to scream the high heavens, I can be the number one option, and the team's going to be good. Like, I think their over-under for wins this year was like 42. Right. And they clearly surpassed that. They won 56 games in the regular season with Jaylen Brown averaging like closer to 30 points a game. Right. Now, was it an efficient 30 points? No. Right. Not at all. But it appears as if that was more important to him than getting knocked out in the first round, which doesn't look very good. And he might be at a place where he's like, look, I already won a championship. I don't really care. Look, it's time for me to go have fun and get some buckets. Like, he might be there, right? But personally, Jaylen Brown as your best player is not going to get you very far, right? Like, I just don't think, like, him out front, being your lead guy, that's going to get you very many places. Like, you might be a fun team, but, playoff-wise, you ain't really going to be hitting on much of nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, like Boston has had this weird dynamic where they won a championship in 2024.
Yes.
So they won in 2024 last year. So really since Mazzulla took over last year, they give up back-to-back 20-point leads in the second round against the Knicks and lose that. You could say, honestly, before the Tatum injury, it was about to be an embarrassing fashion. It kind of changed a little bit because Jason Tatum went down, but they were going to lose that game, and I think that would put them down 3-1 as it is. They won the championship the year before that. The year before that, who did they lose to?
They lost in 7, I think, to Miami. And they had come back down. They had come back from down 0-3.
They were down 3-0.
Yeah,
and
then game 7 just fell apart.
And then the year before that, they lost in another like crazy way. So to your point, what do you make of this team as it is? Right? Like there's a one championship, but then you got these 3 strange years, right? That you can't really put together like what they are really. Like, and I mean, the year that they won,
Jimmy Butler got hurt.
Yeah, I don't want to say they didn't play anybody, but like, do you realize the last 3 championship teams have not played a top 4 seed on the way there?
That's crazy to think about.
Boston, KC, who won before Boston?
Denver.
None of those teams played a top 4 seed on the way to win, and that has never happened in the first 73 years of the NBA playoffs.
I think my thing, like, if Boston doesn't make a move, like with Brown and Tatum, and I think they obviously should, like, I think like this marriage just run its course. It's over, right? But not only do they need to make a change, like roster-wise, because it's clear, like, for me, that this team overperformed, right? Like, I think we gave this team a lot of credit that without Tatum, their win total really didn't, like, it stayed more or less constant. All the like basic numbers stayed more or less the same with or without Tatum. But that team did change. Kristaps Porzingis was gone. Jrue Holiday gone, right? And so we talked about it a couple years ago. When Derek White is your fifth best player, hey, man, you cooking with gas. Gas. But when Derek White is your third best player, whoo, maybe not. This is not a good idea. And Derek White was their third best player. And this year, Derek White stunk.
They need somebody that can get downhill next year. Like, they need a guard that can get downhill for them. I think that's gonna help them. Or like, they just need to get more athletic, because this whole thing of like them shooting like 45, 50 threes, like, it's good when it works, but when it doesn't, like down the stretch in that game 7, they just couldn't get anything. They couldn't get anything going.
Man, they couldn't get a bucket. And the two of us and Tobias talked about it a couple weeks back, where Tobias was like, yo, man, I can't stand these dudes just shooting up a whole bunch of threes and missing a whole bunch of them. It's ridiculous. Right. And he texted me, he sent me a voice note after game 7. He said, man, you see these boys miss a whole bunch of threes. This is why the NBA be pissing me off sometimes. Right. And I'm like, I got to look at the coach. I got to look at Mazzulla. Like, dude, like, he feels very much to me in a very similar sort of vein like Mike D'Antoni. Like, I got plan A. Okay, well, what if plan A ain't working? What's plan B? Well, plan B is just more plan A. Keep shooting. Right. And it's like, common sense would tell you, like, shooting this many threes, right? Obviously, the analytics tell you three points more than 2, right? 2 possessions, you make 2 threes, that's 6 points, versus if you'd have made 2 twos, 4 points, right? It gives you a 2-point advantage, right? Obviously, you're going to take more shots. The problem is when you're shooting 40 to 50 threes every single game, right? That's a lot on your legs, right? By the end of it, by the end of the season, they look like they had dead legs from shooting all those damn threes. And it's like, did the thought never cross anyone's mind? Hey, let's go to the basket, get fouled, and go to the line, right? Like, that part seemed to be like that thought seemed to not be there from anyone, Mazzulla included. In my head, I'm like, how can you coach basketball like this, being so rigid and continually sticking with something at this point that's not working? Like, I don't know if he's the guy, right? Like, because think about it. Ken, he inherited this job.
Yes,
when Ime Udoka decided he was going to be an HR minutes on the level of Bobby Petrino or now Sharon Moore, right? He inherited this job. They didn't do a search, right? Mazzulla was second in command. They went with Mazzulla. It went well, and they just kept him, right? But I think the questions need to be asked about Mazzulla as well, because most times you're not going to win with a team that, like, you're not going to win long term like this. The way especially with the way this roster is constructed.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Well, now I will give Boston credit. They have shed a lot of salary, getting rid of Drew Holiday, getting rid of Porzingis. So it'll be interesting to see the moves that they make this offseason. But like I said, I do think they need somebody who can get more paint touches, right? Because, like, Brown and Tatum at this point, they're going to be what they're going to be. It's the pieces that you have around them that's going to change things. And, like, they folded. Like, I mean, it wasn't like they were the second seed. You know what I mean? Like, they had a good year, a really good year. I think it was kind of like how we talked about with Detroit and Orlando. I thought Philly was not a real 7 seed, and Embiid coming back in that series changed things dramatically, because Al Horford is not there anymore. Porzingis is not there to take you away from the rim. So now you're banking on the skeleton of Nikola Vucevic and Neemias Queta to stop freaking Joel Embiid. And it just wasn't a good matchup for them.
Yo, I almost forgot, because Jaylen Brown being so damn ridiculous. We didn't even mention the fact that in game 7, Joe Mazzulla trotted out a starting lineup of Ron Harper Jr., Luka Garza, and some other dude who I ain't never seen before. And I'm like, wait, Dylan Harper brother in the league? Because that's literally, I was like, wait, what? And then they went out there and
scored.
And they got smoked in the first. They came out there and immediately started getting smoked. And you're like, Joe, what is this? Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, that seems like one of those moves a coach would make when they're trying to prove something to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you just
like overthinking. Like
Yeah.
my thing is like you're overthinking the game. Like when Matt Barnes tells the story about like Stan Van Gundy, how they played a certain way in Orlando with Dwight Howard for the whole season, and then like to start the series against Boston, he completely changed it. Like, hold on, what we've done hasn't messed up yet. So like, why are you feel the need to change it already? Like you're overthinking this whole thing. And I think that's what Joe did in Game 7. Like that's the first time I want to say in NBA history that 3 starters have not scored in a playoff game. It's unbelievable.
I don't think those dudes had ever like that 5-man combination had ever been on the floor together. Or if they had, it had been very little. Like it was such a confusing move to where I'm shocked he's not caught more hell for it. But I think that's probably because Jaylen Brown has sucked up all the oxygen with that doggone live stream, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what are the moves are there to be made, right? Somebody mentioned, do you do a Giannis for Jaylen Brown swap out?
I mean, I don't think it's off the table. I think all these contended teams will take a look at Giannis, right? Like imagine, I think we've kind of touched on this before, but imagine OKC doesn't get past Minnesota or San Antonio, and they get the 9th or 10th pick. You dangle that to Milwaukee, bring Giannis to OKC. Like, is that
Would be nuts.
Is that out of the question? Right? Like, I'm sure. Like, you can take what's the kid that's been coming in? We were just talking about
Terrence Shannon.
Not Terrence Shannon, but I'm talking about from OKC, the one that's been coming in.
Jared McCain.
Not Jared McCain, the lefty, AJ Mitchell.
There we go.
I give you 10 pick. I'll give you AJ Mitchell. We throw in whatever fits the cap for Giannis. Like,
even if the Thunder win, why not throw the idea out there? Because right now we got the picks.
Or I mean, look how we play. We play the same way without Jalen Williams. I get a 10 pick, Jalen Williams.
Another team that needs to make a couple of moves, man. The Denver Nuggets. Much in a very similar way to the Boston Celtics, man. I think the Nuggets window is closed. Like,
yep.
Their top 3 of Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon. Either Murray or Aaron Gordon got to go. And my candidate most likely to go probably is Jamal Murray because he's younger and not nearly as banged up and coming off a career year, at least in the regular season. And in the postseason, Jaden McDaniels put the clamps on him, right? But they've got to, like, if you still think you're a championship caliber contender, you've regressed in the past couple of years. Now, has Aaron Gordon been hurt? Yes, right? But you have one of the 5 best players on the planet. You can't be going out in the first round like that. And how embarrassing, because let's be real, Jokic has been stuffing Rudy Gobert in the locker for a couple of years now. And then the tables turned. They got sent home by Minnesota. And Minnesota, who talked hot cash to them the whole way there. And look, Ayo Dosunmu took you down. Terrence Shannon took you down. Jaden McDaniels hung 30 on you to send you to the crib. That can't happen.
No, it can't. But, like, let's not forget, like, Minnesota sent them home 2 years ago.
Yes, in 7. At home.
In a Game 7, when they were up by 20, by the way. Like, that's not talked about a lot either. They were up by 20 at home and lost that. Jokic has, he is, I won't say he's gotten his numbers against Gobert. But see, the thing that I thought would change, I thought Denver would win. They were one of my dark horse teams to make the final. I thought the loss of Cat was going to affect Minnesota more than it did. The loss of Cat and Alexander Walker, because I thought those dudes really completed Minnesota's defense and really helped them against teams like Denver. But the thing is, Denver always has this historic offense, and as of late, it started to go down. It started to go down in the playoffs. When you look at what Minnesota was able to do to them 2 years ago, you look at what OKC was able to do to them last year, right? That offense is like, okay, well, our defense isn't great, but it's holding up with this historic offense. And that historic offense is not turned historic in the playoffs. And so now I do agree to your point. There needs to be some changes because it's just not working. And again, if we want to be that guy, like Denver has never beaten a 50-win team in the playoffs.
I'll say this. On that point, like 2020, I'll say 2020 COVID year, the Clippers had the winning percentage of a 50-win team. It was just a COVID-shortened season.
Like, and I will say that, you know, when they did win the championship, the Lakers weren't a 50-win team, but that wasn't the same Lakers team that was at the beginning of the season. You know, those midseason trades, I thought they played to the level of a 50-win team. Same thing with Phoenix, because I think they played Phoenix in the second round that year. With KD, Booker, like they got KD midway through the year, so that's not the same thing, right? But I think the point holds merit post-championship. Like, we see Denver win, and you and I are talking like how we're talking about Oklahoma City now. Like, this is the team of the future, and how do you stop Denver and all this stuff? And they lose in the conference finals, losing what, the second round last year?
No, they lost in the semis 2 years in a row. They lost to Minnesota that year in 7 in the semis.
That's right.
They lost Minnesota last year to Oklahoma City in the semis, and this year was a first round
losing in the first round. Like, and I thought this was one of their best teams on paper, right? Like, you brought Bruce Brown back, got Tim Hardaway, got another shooter. I thought they had solved the Jokic backup center minutes, right, with Valanciunas. To your point, Peyton Watson wasn't healthy. But I thought they were athletic enough on the wings with Braun, Watson, and then, you know, kind of replace Michael Porter with Cam Johnson. And so I was like, man, this team is good on paper. I think the first person to go would be Aaron Gordon, because I think that their staple is that Murray-Jokic pick and roll. It's just everything else around it.
I think it's going to be harder to move that contract, right? Especially Aaron Gordon's got to be, 31 going on 32? Mm-hmm. And that calf injury these last 2 years is really, you know, he's missed a lot of time these last couple of years, right? So I think that contract is hard to move. I think they gave Christian Brown 5 years, $125 million, which I am immediately trying to go back and see if I can get a refund on that. Immediately, right? Take that back to the store. Oh, actually, this ain't the right size pants. I need to size up, right? Like, because immediate buyer's remorse there. Murray's what you can move, right? He's 28, 29. His value is never going to be higher, right? But the problem with Jamal Murray, in my opinion, I feel like we can say this and then not go off the rails. Ken, you remember we was single in the streets, and you might be at a party, whatever, and you see a bad one, right? And maybe she got 2 or 3 friends, and the 2 or 3 friends, they all right, but because they next to a bad one, it kind of elevates them in the eyes of other people.
Yep.
That's kind of how I feel about Jamal Murray. That's not to say Jamal Murray's chopped liver, right? But Jamal Murray before this season had never been an all-star. Jamal Murray in the regular season is a good player. He's had 2 great runs in the playoffs, the bubble and the year they won a title. Right?
So, like, who do you think should call about it?
Man, that's a great question. Right? Because what do you think? Because the thing is, all right, the biggest issue I feel like Denver had, aside from not being tough enough and not having, like, great defenders, right, is that, you know, that secondary shot creation is another guy that can, like, a perimeter shot creator, right? Because, you know, at this point, you probably need 2 perimeter shot creators to be successful in the playoffs, right? And of course, it's helpful when your center can initiate the offense and create shots for other people, but you need other guys on to do that as well, right? In a more traditional sense, right? Can you get another shot creator that's, like, good to great, right? And then you need parts, right? They need another wing, right, that can match up with some of these other teams, right? How comfortable do you feel about Valanciunas, right, as a backup big, right? But they clearly need more parts, and
they do. It's like you said, it needs to be a, you know, they kind of had a, like, this was their core, and that core now, I think it's just time for a reset. it's been tough. We talk about it every year. It's so tough to repeat in this version of the NBA, right? Not even just repeat, but to get back to the finals. So many injuries are happening, so much parity, people moving, all this stuff. Like, it's so tough. So it's like you don't see these teams lasting for 9, 10 years anymore, much less, 5 or 6. So
Yeah,
it's like, what's next for them?
yeah. What's next? And like, I feel like all these teams, we felt like if we really think about it, man, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have been together for 10
Yeah, they've been
years.
together for, yes.
They've been together for a long time, right? Like that's an insanely long time for a duo to have been together. And I think even for like, I've been thinking about this since before we started the show, like what a championship does for some of these guys, right? Like in a very similar way to where we looked at Dirk Nowitzki differently
Oh, for
after he won
sure.
that title. Because before he won that title, it was they had a 2-0, possibly should have been a 3-0 lead in that finals until Gary Payton made that shot, and then the legend of Dwayne Wade became a thing, right? The next year they win 60 odd games and get
Mm-hmm.
beat by an 8 seed by Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like Dirk was soft. Very good
Regular
player,
season player, soft, can't get it done.
can't get it done. That championship against Miami, what that does for him, right? I'm starting to think in a similar sort of way about Giannis, Jokic, right? Not to say Jokic is not a great player. Not saying that at
Right.
all.
It was the
Right.
same thing about Dirk, though.
Right.
Like, and Dirk, to your point, like these dudes are doing it. I think the difference is these dudes are doing it in what is supposed to be the prime of their career. Like Dirk didn't erase that stigma. That was like year 15. Like he came out in what, 97, 98? He won a championship in 2011. So he had that stigma all the way up. Great offensive player, MVP, regular season player. He's soft. Once he play against some tough physical teams, they're gonna bully him and he won't be able to do it. And he erased it. These dudes are doing it at 26, 27 years old, and you're like, oh, well, history has shown us that when teams this young with young cores and superstars do this, that they're going to go on a run or they're going to be a dynasty. And it's failed every
Yes.
step since 2021, right?
And
Because that was Milwaukee, right?
that was Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And since then, what? Milwaukee hadn't made it to the second round since?
No, I don't even think so.
Milwaukee hadn't made it to the second round since what? Boston. And let's be real. I don't even think, like with Boston, that championship was the start of their window. That might have been the end, right? Like it was 10 years. Like how many, like Brown and Tatum have been together since what, 2017? 2018?
Tatum came, 2018 was his rookie year when they
2018 was
lost
his
LeBron in the Eastern Conference Final.
2018 was his rookie year. So they have been together 8 years, right? 8 years they've been together, right? 2024 was the culmination. That's the peak, right? You don't put two guys together at this point in the NBA and they have 15, 16-year runs as a
Mhm.
unit. Like there's not, I don't think, especially with player empowerment, some of these what the contracts are and how
Right.
punitive the tax apron is, you're not going to see guys stay together like Bird, Parrish, and McHale did, the way Michael and Scotty did, the way John Stockton and 12 play did. We're not going to see that happen in that way, right?
Mhm.
We're just not. And Ken, I'm going to ask you this question. When we talk about what a championship does for a guy's reputation, right? Like how one championship can kind of launder a guy's reputation in the conversation about Jokic or Giannis or Brown and Tatum. Should Kawhi Leonard be in that conversation? Like without that title in Toronto, do you think he'd be in this similar sort of place?
Oh, absolutely. Because all of those guys, like at their peaks were good or great, I would say, but it was just like, okay, what's missing? And like Kawhi just kind of, are you saying his title in Toronto?
Yes. Like he's in that similar sort of conversation. Like he has a title in Toronto and then like what it's done for his reputation. Like we still talk about Kawhi Leonard, like Kawhi Leonard, all-time great playoff performer. Kawhi Leonard, playoff riser. And for years, our thing has been, boy, if he's healthy, boy, you get Kawhi Leonard to April, May, and June, boy, he gonna cook, right? Like that run in Toronto, like cement, like there was
Yeah.
legit, and I was one of them being like, yo, Kawhi Leonard's the best player in the NBA. Like after they won in Toronto.
Yeah, I subscribed to that until like probably the last 2 years. Like at some point I just gave it up. Like the knees won't hold up. Like you're not gonna fool me anymore. I mean, it happens every time. Like he looks really good in like a random like January, February game, and he'll have a really good playoff game, and then questionable, doubtful, dealing with this. Right. That 1 year he plays against Dallas and he's like hanging on the rim after he dunks it. Like he doesn't want to land on those knees to see what it feels like. I'm like, oh my gosh, like he's cooked. But like like you said, that 1 year when he goes to Toronto, and really it wasn't even it was a playoff run that he had. Like
Yeah.
they were solid throughout the year, but then he goes on this playoff run. You're like, oh my goodness, like I think these dudes can win it. And then the way that he played, yeah, like he was right to carry that mantle.
And I think like something I've been thinking about in the context of Kawhi Leonard, like he has that title in San Antonio, where he's the Finals MVP, but that was much more of an ensemble, like cast type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like that Finals MVP is like that Spurs team felt very much like the '04 Pistons, right? Tim Duncan's no longer a superstar, right? That was like much more of a collective, really deep team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he wins the Finals MVP, but it's not the same as like LeBron winning the Finals MVP.
Oh, no.
It's much more like, I don't want to say like Andre Iguodala-esque,
But it
but
was.
yeah, right. So without that Toronto championship, I think let's say he goes to LA and it plays out the way that it has. We talk about him much more like we would a Grant Hill. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean that's fair. He just like it just left fans wanting more, I guess I would say. Like it's unfortunate that the injuries occurred because you saw flashes and then for one reason or another, it wasn't sustainable. And so all these other guys' peaks are like getting in the way. And the people that watch it are like, but wait. If you saw this guy in 2019, if he can still get back there, he can still be there with the best of them. And it's like the new age is like, show me.
That's so crazy. We are gonna be we're gonna be those guys here pretty soon. But we're like, what you know about Kawhi Leonard? Like, I don't know if you have like uncles or older cousins who be talking to you about Mitch Richmond.
Oh, yeah. Like it's starting to happen. Like working in high school, it's starting to happen. Like I have to argue about D Wade.
What?
And I'm like, it almost kind of like it shocks me, but then I realize like, oh, you guys were born in 2010, 2011. Like you didn't
2013.
you didn't see '09 D Wade that averaged 30 and like on 50% shooting and was like a 6'3" guard, 6'4" guard attacking the rim with tenacity. Like that's the D Wade that I know. Like you only remember like a Heatles version of D Wade taking a backseat for Bron. And like that's not the D Wade that LeBron intended to join.
Yes.
He intended to join somebody that was going to look eye to eye. And it just so happened that his knees fell apart. And so it's like, now we get into this, we're like, okay, you guys don't understand how good these guys were. And I think D Wade put it in great form. And I think Kawhi Leonard probably feels the same way. He's like, I don't think that I don't feel that anybody is ever better than me at the game of basketball. I feel like people have better careers than me. I feel like people stay healthy longer than me. And if you probably ask Kawhi Leonard the same thing, he would probably say it. And he's got a right to believe that.
If he doesn't get hurt, we're possibly like talking about a top 25 player of all time.
Yeah.
I feel like that's I feel like that was his trajectory, right? Like now, mind you, he's no slouch. You know what I'm saying? And
No,
crazy
2 defensive
enough,
player of the years, 2 finals MVPs. Like He still had a really good career.
Like, shoot. And somehow this past year, scored damn near 30 a game at what, 33, 34? Like, hey, now I ain't gonna lie. Now that's a guy. We gonna see how this thing turns out with that investigation, because Pablo Torre didn't cause Steve Ballmer a whole lot of grief. If they have to avoid Kawhi Leonard's contract, that might be a dude to where if he's your second or third best player next year,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
whoo! But again, knees hold up. If they hold up, because he held up this year, crazy enough. The knees,
Because, like, if he goes, like, the rumors, like, Golden State is going to pursue him. If he goes with Steph Curry in it, like, you don't think they're going to be good? They just got to make it through the regular season. But, like, if they get to the playoffs, you don't think they'd be scary for a team to play against with the gravity that Steph brings, and then Kawhi Leonard, you just throw the ball at the mid post, at the elbow, like, go get a bucket when we need it. And defensive IQ next to Draymond Green.
now here's the problem with that. It's gonna smell, that locker room would smell like an old folks' home, because all them boys, OLD, all of them old as hell, right? Like I don't know, Ken, if you ever been to like your grandparents' house or go to your grandparents' church where it's nothing but a whole bunch of ain't no young people in the congregation.
Yeah.
You walk in, you're like, whoo, boy, I know this parking lot full of cars with nothing but a whole bunch of blood pressure medication, a whole bunch of, oxygen tanks. Boy, y'all old as hell up in here. That's what it would be for the Golden State Warriors with like adding Kawhi Leonard. Don't they still have Al Horford's old ass?
They do. I don't know if he'll be a free agent, but yeah, they have Al Horford.
Man, all they would need to add is Mike Conley to really round it all out.
Still got Jimmy Butler rehabbing.
I mean, look, hey man, listen, you think Klay Thompson would want to come back now? He people ain't feeling so great about him right now.
Oh yeah, we know.
I need to keep my job. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. And that is another episode of the Gameplan Podcast. Kennedy Miller, my guy.
Always a pleasure, my brother.
Where can the folks find you on the artist formerly known as Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in Timberwolves, S as in Spurs, as in San Antonio Spurs, M as in mother. Don't forget, like, share, and subscribe to the official Gameplan Podcast YouTube channel, where if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit that subscribe button, tell 10 friends to tell 10 more friends to tell 10 more friends about the Gameplan Podcast. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. For Kennedy Miller, my name is Alex Goodwin. This has been the Gameplan Podcast. We will see you guys next time. Take it easy.